Charizard farms up, gonna fire off the Blast Burn on the CMP tie. This is resisted, but Charizard does not care about typings. Mantine's resistance means nothing in the path of the mighty Charizard. Out comes Steelix. YF gonna full send the Blast Burn. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Get that Steelix off my screen. Welcome back to the channel. Motivation is low to post, but we are back at it. So firstly, before we get into the video, if you are someone that does enjoy my content, do me a favor and smash that like button to help motivate me to keep putting content out. Today we have an incredible battle submission from YF2605 that I'm going to call YF for the duration of the video. YF is going to be showcasing the ruthless closing power of Shadow Charizard. In the Open Great League, this Pokemon's not seen all that commonly because it has a lot of things to avoid. However, Remix Cup bans a lot of these threats, stuff like Azumeril, whisdaddycash Feraligatr, and of course the ever annoying silly electric fish lantern and that stupid brick wall Bastiodon. Unfortunately, carbink, despite being ranked #1 on PvPoke, isn't banned, go figure. However, we're ABA strong into it with a Quagsire lead and a Gligar safe switch. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game 1, we see the battle of the Mud Boys. Our Shadow Quagsire into the regular variant. The opponent is running Mud Bomb, so this is advantageous for us as we're straightforward to each move, whereas the opponent is going to take 5 to the first and 4 to the second. And then stay in school, kids, learn to count. YF knows this information and makes a very nice resisted Mud Bomb catch onto Gligar, drawing out the opposing Gligar. YF has already picked up some valuable information for the endgame, knowing the opposing Quagman doesn't have the cheap spammy Aqua Tail. They're going to have to go all the way up to the Stone Edge to do any meaningful damage to our Charizard. This Gligar mirror is insanely boring due to the fact Aerial Ace, if you look to the left, is a move I call Aerial Ass because it doesn't do all that much damage. YF sends back out the Quagman, farms up, looks to fire off on the CMP tie. This is actually an IV dependent CMP, usually in Quagsire's favour. However, shout out the world champion, it's Axon, who tells people to run attack weighted Gligar, and it looks like that's exactly what everyone's doing. The opponent re-enters the Quagman mirror, and YF, so far head energy, fires off the Aqua Tail, forcing a Protect Shield. We're doubled up. YF opts to throw back to back. The next Aqua Tail doesn't quite knock out. YF then goes 2 for 2, catching Mud Bombs. Unfortunately, Charizard only single resist, unlike Gligar. The double resist ground due to fire taking super effective and flying double resisting ground. Out comes Mantine, and despite making 2 very nice catches, this is not looking fantastic. Blast Burn, despite being resisted, is better DP and does more damage in this matchup. YF actually fires off the Dragon Claw, then fires off the next one on the CMP tie, giving himself a chance. This Dragon Claw won't quite be lethal, but should put them into Aqua Tail range. Of course, Aerial Ace, even if the opponent no bubbles, probably knocks out Charizard from this range as we are insanely glassy. Back out comes the Quagman. The opponent pivots back out into Quagsire. YF gets some stutter lag, looks to double up. Unfortunately, we're unable to do so. Game state pretty dreadful, hence I'm not playing much. And unfortunately, we're off to a 0-1 start. If you're getting any weird background noise, that is because it's a very rare hot day in the UK. It's like 25 degrees, despite being very late at night when I'm recording, and I live on a busy main road. So apologies for that, but returning back to the commentary. We see Obstagoon in the lead. YF farms up, catches the Night Slash onto Gligar, and we see yet another Gligar mirror. I'm so surprised this thing isn't banned in Remix Cup, as it is here, there, and every fucking where, even in the Open Great League. YF's Gligar landed the first Aerial Ace, fires off the second, and you can see why I call it Aerial Ass, as despite this being Shadow and Shadow Crime, the opponent able to absorb 2. However, Quagsire comes in, gets a very nice double resisted Mud Shot farm down, back out comes Obstagoon, and Quagman is going to start unleashing the Aqua Tail spam. Obstagoon absorbs the first, we're already at the second, and Quagsire, reasonably bulky even the Shadow, easily able to absorb the Night Slash. Quagsire fires off the second Aqua Tail. Quagsire looking to apply some shield pressure. The opponent unwilling to shield, and out comes Jellicent. Charizard, of course, in a type negative matchup here, but Charizard really does not care about typings. YF going to burn the first Protect Shield, blocking up the incoming Surf. YF then throws 1 wing attack and the Dragon Claw for optimal fast move timing. Using a 2-turn move into a 3-turn move, you want to throw at 1, 4 or 7, only giving the opponent 1 free turn each time you throw. YF forces the first Protect Shield, then fires off the next Dragon Claw on the CMP tie, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. I think at this stage, we've just got to put it all on the Quagman. YF agrees, instantly no shields. Surf does secure the knockout, and let's go Quagsire. This is going to be quite a tricky endgame as Obscure is still alive and potentially a third shield for the opponent. YF farms up. Oh man, I really feel like I put the kiss of death on this battle. The opponent makes the catch onto Obstagoon. However, the opponent still concede the match and we take the dub. Unless I'm mad, we were 2 mud shots off the next move and they were 1 hex. So I think the opponent could have won that if they just stayed in. But we're not complaining. In the next battle, we see Mantine in the lead. Our entire team is quite soft to Mantine. Although the Quagman does have that rock type coverage. YF farms up past the Stone Edge bait with the Aqua Tail and the opponent call it like an absolute savage. YF knows he survives this aerial ace. Another example of why I call it aerial ace. Man, that move is so trash. YF this time full sends the Stone Edge, forcing a Protect Shield, and we see the aggressive pivot into Charizard looking to get ahead in energy. YF gonna shield up the incoming aerial ace. Charizard is a Pokemon I like to call a glass cannon, so to get the most out of it, you always want to maximise energy, which YF does. Throwing the Blast Burn on the CMP side, Blast Burn is resisted, but Charizard does not care about typings. Out comes Steelix. YF not fucking around, full send the Blast Burn, does the opponent respect the damage? They do not get that. Steelix off my screen. Out comes Poliwrath, looking for that resisted counter farm down, but Charizard's like, nah, I'm not done. Fires off the next Blast Burn, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and that is going to be all she wrote. YF, of course, going to shield up the incoming Icy Wind, reach the Aerial Ace, and this is an example where Aerial Ace isn't going to be all that bad, as even 1 stage debuffed, Shadow and Shadow Crime, it easily picks up the knockout. What a win! In the next battle this time, we see Steelix in the lead. The opponent says no thank you and save switch into Gligar. Another thing not particularly good against Quagman. Hence is looking very happy with itself. It fires off the first Aqua Tail, which lands, and this is why you really want the Shadow variant of Quagsire. 2 Aqua Tails are enough to knock out. YF gets baited with the Aerial Ace, but he does not care as we're already at the next Aqua Tail. We force ourselves shield parity. We then look to catch onto our own Gligar. I like this pivot from YF, as of course Quagsire has a very good matchup against Steelix. Of course Charizard could hit with a Blast Burn, but it doesn't appreciate the Dragon Tail damage. And of course the opponent still has a Protect Shield to hide behind. The opponent actually aggressively send back out Steelix. YF's like, thanks, eat the dig to the face. The opponent actually burns that final Protect Shield, and we open up the door for that Blast Burn to land. YF sends out Charizard. Charizard tanks the non-tap Psychic Fangs reasonably well. YF then farms up, throws the Blast Burn on the CMP type. Steelix at almost full health. But hi Steelix, bye Steelix, get wrecked. We then pivot out into Quagsire and out comes Poliwrath. Oof, that pivot might actually cost us here. Poliwrath going to be able to commit to the full counter farm down. Holy, why is the opponent throwing? Trainer, what are you doing? I guess looking at Poliwrath's health, it looks like the next Stone Edge would come quite close to knocking out, but I think the opponent throwing their energy just gives us a clear win con. We can shield up the Icy Wind, the opponent can send back out Gligar. Of course, we resist counter, we don't resist wing attacks, so YF can throw this Dragon Claw, securing the knockout, and as long as we reach the next Dragon Claw, we should be good to go. Although, speaking of which, Charizard, insanely glassy, we get counter farm down, so perhaps the opponent was right, I was wrong, but either way, we're going to move swiftly on. We see Giratina 0 in the lead. YF's like, no thank you, and pivots into Gligar. Gligar goes straight for the Aerial Ace. This is only an ominous wind, right? I'm not entirely sure why the opponent didn't build up at least to the Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball quite threatened into a Shadow Gligar. They then send out Greedent, and again, I'm not really sure on this play pattern from the opponent, as they're still going to need to throw 2 moves at us, as the opponent going to be unable to get the double resisted Mud Shot farm down. We land the dig, leaving Greedent at around a 3rd health. I think a better play from the opponent, as our Gligar was energy dry, would have been to Shadow Claw us into range where 1 Body Slam would be lethal. YF sends back out Quagman, then catches the Trailblaze onto Charizard. Holy shit, what a catch. Back out comes Giratina. Charizard greets it with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded, securing the knockout, and out comes Hakamoto. Hakamoto not going to appreciate the wing attacks or the Dragon Claw, as fighting takes super effective from flying, and of course Dragon does not resist itself. It actually takes super effective. Quagsire on this moveset is actually completely walled, at least with its charge moves, against Hakamoto, as Dragon resist water and fighting resist rock. However, you can see the Shadow variant hits pretty hard, and 2 resisted Aqua Tails are going to be enough to secure the knockout. YF fires off the first Aqua Tail, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We're then able to reach the next Aqua Tail, which will be securing the knockout. Greedent is energy dry, Quagman will be winning CMP, and Quagsire is going to sweep the back line. GG's, and thanks for playing. Come on, Quagman, this is supposed to be a Shadow Charizard showcase. Have some chill, buddy. In the next battle, what a lead. Magnezone, the opponent pivots into Goodra. YF, looking for some chip and dip action, goes straight for the Stone Edge. Stone Edge goes unshielded, and we see the pivot into Charizard. Shadow Charizard going to be looking for the one shield wing attack farm all the way down and get all the energy in the world, ready to threaten the likely returning Magnezone. I very rarely bait, but I think this is a perfect bait opportunity. YF agrees. Back out comes the UFO. We throw one wing attack and the Dragon Claw. YF sacrifices a poor defenseless cat with his bait, but the bait's a good one. This time there is no bait in. Blast Burn goes unshielded, getting that one hit KO, get that Magnezone off my screen. The opponent's final Pokemon is Gligar, and this is so over. Come on, buddy. Mr. Opponent, hit that top left button, as this game is definitely over. Unless the opponent thinks we got something, I don't really know, what could Gligar beat? I think it's nothing. So I think top left in would be the best idea. We land the Aqua Tail, we then pivot into Gligar. Surely the opponent's going to top left. Unless they're hoping that YF has a heart attack. But we all know he's alive and well, as I wouldn't be showcasing these battles if not. YF, forced to play it out, picks up the dub, and we're going to move on to the next one. We see the Shadow Quag Mirror. I imagine the opponent definitely has Aqua Tail. We saw the last Quagsire mirror. It was actually on Mod Bomb. YF takes the initiative, opts to fire first. Aqua Tail goes unshielded. Shadow and Shadow. 2 Aqua Tails aren't quite enough to knock out, but it's pretty close. You can see with the additional mud shots, the opponents got us below half health, but we still aren't going to get knocked out by this move. YF tanks it. We then look to fire off our own Aqua Tail, and the opponent makes a very nice catch onto Goodra. YF then pivots into Charizard. Charizard is going to be able to outpace to the Dragon Claw. This is non-stab, but Charizard pretty attack weighted and does force that Protect Shield. You can see Charizard getting torn apart by their Dragon Breaths. The opponent, for some reason, don't throw a charge move. Perhaps they're looking for the full Dragon Breath farm down, but that has cost them both Protect Shields. I'm not sure that was the optimal play. I personally would have just fired off the Aqua Tail just before we reached the next Dragon Claw, but that's just me. YF sends out Gligar. We're going to block up the Draco. Holy shit. I was expecting it to be an Aqua Tail, but that was a huge shield, as Draco would have one-shot us and vanquished us back to our Pokeball. The opponent then re-enters the Gligar mirror. We haven't even seen the opponent's third yet. So this is looking pretty dire. YF blocks up the air release, attempts to catch onto Quagsire unsuccessfully. Gligar will survive this, but like the previous battle where I said the opponent's Gligar pretty much had no hope, unfortunately that's pretty much the scenario we find ourselves in. Air release isn't quite lethal. We get the wing attack farm down, but Goodra is going to be able to come out, Dragon Breath farm us down, and we're going to take a pretty brutal loss. In the next battle, we see Powder Snow, Alolan Ninetales in the lead. This is something we want to keep our Gligar far away from, as we're double weak to ice. YF tanks the Weather Ball, farms up well past the Stone Edge bait with the Aqua Tail, killing yet another poor defenseless cat. If people always ask me, why do I say that? Because every time you masturbate, a poor defenseless cat loses its life. YF blocks up the Weather Ball. This time he's full sending. The question is, does the opponent respect the damage? Stone Edge goes shielded, but I'm actually not disappointed, as when shields are down, Shadow Charizard absolutely goes to town. YF actually shields up Quagsire, looking to get Ninetales out of here. I was kind of expecting us to no-shield, as Charizard might go to town when shields are down, but it also doesn't function particularly well without shields. The opponent sends out Poliwrath, we pivot into Gligar, the opponent banks some energy and enter the Gligar mirror. This could get dicey, as of course Charizard now has no Protect Shields to block up a potential Scald. YF overfarming as much as he physically can before firing off the next air release, which unfortunately isn't going to be lethal, but hopefully forces the energy. We do force the energy, and we certainly are going to need a catch to win this game. Can YF pull it off? We send out Charizard. Charizard able to get the wing attack farm down, back out. Comes Poliwrath, and there is the catch. You love to see it. YF doesn't need Protect Shield when his counting's immaculate. The opponent goes for the full undercharge. The undercharge will not be saving this opponent's fate as Charizard reaches the resisted Blast Burn, picks up the knockout, and we take that game. YF, I take my hat off to you, buddy. Very nicely done. In the next battle, we see the big jellyfish in the lead. This is a matchup where you can throw the Stone Edge as soon as you get it. The opponent throws 4 hexes. Try and catch the Stone Edge, but that actually gives you 2 turns to react. YF shows decent reaction time, saves his energy, and pivots into Gligar. Gligar blocks up the double super effective Icy Wind. YF then heavily overfarms before firing off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace isn't quite lethal, but able to wing attack farm down just as the opponent reaches the next Icy Wind, which is best case scenario. Back out comes the big jellyfish. YF throws 1 wing attack and the dig, maintaining discipline timing. Dig after a debuff doesn't do all that much damage. Jellicent heavily overfarms before firing off the Surf. Surf, not the best move, but is enough to secure the knockout. YF sends back out the Quagman. He's going for a very risky Aqua Tail bait. Well, is it risky? Perhaps not. I think if you was someone that enjoys masturbating, as long as the nuke move does knock out, baiting is feasible because the opponent is kind of in a weird scenario where they are threatened, so they are likely to shield, and we force that shield. We then land the Stone Edge. The opponent sends out Chestnut, and Charizard is absolutely feasting. Chestnut did get access to Thunder Punch, but it looks like this opponent isn't running it. We get a huge amount of lag. The opponent able to survive the wing attacks, however, with no Thunder Punch, they can do nothing to Charizard as we resist both Frenzy Plant and the Superpower, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Galvantula in the lead. The opponent save switches into Goodra, and a very small Goodra as well. That is tiny. We fire off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge goes unshielded, and we see the pivot into Zard. Zard once again going to be looking for that 1 shield. Wing attack farm all the way down. Charizard able to get it, and we leave with so much energy. YF can throw 1 wing attack and either the bait or the nuke. Let's see what he opts to do. YF again opting to go for that little cheeky masturbating session. Shadow Galvantula insanely glassy, but the opponent with huge cojones. Evidently there'd be someone who wears shorts, even if they wasn't dying of this heat wave that I'm currently experiencing. We do force a shield with a Dragon Claw. Unless this opponent's got Energy Ball, Galvantula going to completely wall, and the opponent actually has got Energy Ball to my surprise. I did not see that coming. Out comes Swampert, so the opponent offers no fast move pressure into our Gligar. YF still with a Protect Shield, too high behind, gonna burn it here and look to force Swampert's energy. Our own Quagsire does have residual energy, good to go. The opponent is going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. Can we outpace the back-to-back Aqua Tail needed to win this game? Uh-oh, we certainly cannot. I thought we had more residual energy than that, but I forgot we Stone Edged the Goodra. This heat is really getting to my head. The opponent survives the Aqua Tail, reaches the Hydro Cannon, and unfortunately that's going to be curtains for us. A Shadow and Shadow Crime Hydro Cannon easily picks up the knockout. Heading into the next battle, we see Kofagrigus in the lead. YF pivots into Gligar. Look at these frame drops. YF certainly must be an Android user. I think this is an Android only issue. I recently upgraded my phone to a Samsung S24 Ultra. Pretty much one of the best phones on the market, and the game still runs like shit. Go figure. However, we're going to keep that negativity away. Out comes Guzzlord. We fire off the first Aerial Ace, forcing a Protection. We land the second and get Guzzlord into a range where Stone Edge will knock him out. The opponent has a lot of residual energy. We tank the crunch. We don't get debuff, which is good. YF actually doesn't farm up to the Stone Edge. Settles for the Aqua Tail, which isn't going to be lethal. It looks like YF is just going to put it all on 2 shield Zard versus the world. Let's go Charizard, baby. Let's go, buddy. Out comes Zard. Zard looking for that wing attack farm down, and we get it. We're not going to appreciate the Shadow Claws. We really need there to be little fast move pressure on the Backmon. Ask and you shall receive. The opponent catches the Blast Burn onto Registeel. They near get one shot. Can we wing attack farm down? Yes, we can. I'd personally go straight Blast Burn here, although the question is, can we reach it? YF goes for the Dragon Claw bait. Dragon Claw forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. We've got the Blast Burn banked, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Shadow Charizard putting on a clinic, 1v3 in the team. In the next battle, we see Golbat in the lead. A Pokemon I really like. I even think it's pretty good in the Open Great League. YF farms the Stone Edge baits with the Aqua Tail. Let's see if the opponent's baiting as well. Nope, they certainly are not. The Shadow Ball, despite not getting same type attack bonus, does so much damage. We force a Protect Shield, then pivot into Gligar. Gligar going to fire off the aerial ace before the opponent potentially NUKES once again with a further Shadow Ball. This is now the mind games. The opponent's already nuked us once, so I think this could be a bait. YF agrees, calls the bait. What a call! Poison Fang is resisted due to ground resisting poison. The opponent then send out Quagsire. Quagsire greeted with the aerial ace. Again, we're getting so many frame drops. Oh, what is this game? The opponent Stone Edged us there, so that must mean there is no Aqua Tail, as of course Aqua Tail would have been the move to throw. This can only be a Mud Bomb, but we're going to see YF look to keep Charizard healthy. He's then going to farm up, I imagine, throw on the CMP tie. It looks like we're actually going for the Wing Attack farm down, and we're going to shield 2 single resisted moves. I'm not sure on that play, but let's see if it works out. The opponent sends back out Golbat gets farm down. The opponent going to throw 1 further Mud Bomb at us. You know, I guess we needed to shield 1, as that doesn't look resisted to me. We're at 100 energy. Out comes Scrafty. Scrafty looks to call the bait. I'm not really sure why I would ever bait when we're at 100 energy. But that probably is their only win con. They see the damage from the Blast Burn and they concede the match. Heading into the next battle. Hello Magnezone, nice to see you. To see you, nice. The opponent save switches into Sableye. Looks like YF going for some chip and dip action. Fires the Aqua Tail and then pivots into Gligar. The opponent farms up to a potential return and we see the no shield deployed. The opponent full send the return. Gligar just about hangs on and fires off the aerial ace. Aerial ace from this range will be enough to knock out the opponent. Actually desperately looking to realign. YF now sends out Charizard. Charizard unable to get the Wing Attack farm down before the opponent reaches the foul play. Foul play, force our Protect Shield. We know Magnezone will be returning and we once again find ourselves in the bait game. YF continuing to masturbate his way through today's showcase. Force that Protect Shield, then look to catch a Wild Charge onto Quagsire unsuccessfully. The opponent banks their energy. Send out Goodra. Goodra greeted with the Stone Edge. Of course, YF is never shielding this move up, as we need to save our shield for that Wild Charge. Aqua Tail isn't lethal. The opponent gets the Dragon Breath farm down before we get off the Aqua Tail. Again, we get some stutter lag, although I think that Wing Attack should knock out and we've got the Blast Burn banked. It does secure the knockout. Back out comes Magnezone, and Magnezone is about to get burnt to a crisp. GG's, and thanks for playing. And Shadow Charizard is going to end today's showcase with another big Blast Burn boom. Huge shout out to YF2605 for a very fun battle submission in the Remix Cup. I'd just like to take this opportunity to apologise for any background noise you can hear in today's video. It's very hot in the UK. Today's probably our one day of summer. I've got the window open and the fan going, which you can probably hear, so sorry for that. However, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you'd like your battles featured on my channel, a link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.